everyone, thanks for watching Access Hockey MI. Today we are continuing our 2020 draft talk of the Detroit Red Wings, and 55th overall they drafted Hanas, who is a left wing. He was with the Portland Winterhawks in the 1920 season, and he had 49 points in 60 games played. So we're going to talk about him, kind of what Steve Yzerman thought when they drafted him, and all that good stuff.
I'm not crying. She was making me laugh. So if I'm doing this, don't worry, guys.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah, right. We'll get bloopers. Don't worry. So Hanas, like Janae said, he was with the Portland Winterhawks. They are a fantastic team.
Yes.
A lot of fun to watch. So we kind of took some time, looked over some footage, and just kind of reviewed what he thought.
They are
of his
in the
own game.
WHL.
Correct.
By the way.
One of his biggest assets, and this is something Yzerman pointed out, is his skating. It's very smooth, and what I noticed from watching the footage is that he's able to accelerate really quickly. And once he does get
That's
that acceleration,
hard to teach.
it is, yeah.
And to get down.
Yeah, because there's some players you can tell they're very flat-footed. They get the speed eventually. It's just that. Exactly, watch the video. But just his ability to get off really quick and keep that momentum is really nice to see, and it is smooth. It's not choppy and nasty. Of course, he does need to improve in that area, being that he is in a major junior league, and
he's young.
He's young.
He's got stuff to improve.
Yeah, he'll be 19 in January, so he is getting a little bit older, and he's filling out his body a bit. Right. So that will be a challenge he'll have to deal with the skating. But as far as we can tell, he is a very smooth skater, and then the quick being able to get a rush going is a very good thing to see from him.
Yeah, and then another thing that we noticed in the play, and another thing that Yzerman had mentioned, is that he's a very net front presence kind of a scorer. So we rarely in the footage that we saw him taking a shot from outside maybe the face-off circles. It rarely was there. It was usually like in between the face-off circles where the hashes are, or like right in front of the net coming around. That just tells us that he's good at capitalizing on a rebound, which is probably the worst thing a goalie that gives rebounds can have in front of his net, is someone who knows how to put the puck back into the net and into the mesh. So I think that's a really good thing to have, and it's something that I think any team can use, just because to have someone who's opportunistic like that is going to be a good thing going forward.
Yeah, and what I'm kind of piggybacking on top of that too, not just in front of the net, but he's pretty good at controlling it behind the net too. Now, that's you can't go back there, of course, if the goalie's back there, and if you don't know that, now you know, don't touch the goalie. But when he's got that space to work, and it's not a huge space, it kind of reminded me of how Eric Tangradi was with the Griffins. That was kind of where he excelled, being able to use his body in a very tight area, get the puck out, or even get a goal off.
Yeah.
So that was really cool to see, and with that, it kind of rolls into his creativity. That was something that even his major, junior, and junior coaches were saying, is that he's fearless. He's not afraid to take a kind of a wild shot, not necessarily uncontrolled where the situation itself is out of control, but he's willing to take those risks and take those chances, which is really cool, and that will be able to be something to build on too if you've got that creative mind to make a play happen where there probably couldn't have been one. It shows a lot of drive.
Well, and then the plays behind the net is important too, because behind the net is a really important spot to keep possession of the puck. If you lose possession of the puck behind the net, you've lost a lot of good scoring opportunities, because the guy behind the net can make a lot of plays to the guys who are waiting for the puck to squeeze out. And if that's the opposing,
and their goalie can breathe again.
Exactly. You want the goalie to be pressed, and you want the goalie to be anxious and on his toes or on his skates. You want the goalie. You want him on his you want him on his butt so you can get it in
or belly. That's my personal favorite.
Anyway, so getting possession behind the net's really important, and if someone's creative and they can do good board play and they're fearless in that way, that's going to be really important for keeping possession, which of course leads to goals on your side. So that's great. So as far as development, of course it's to be expected that someone who's just going to turn 19 is going to have some development to go. So he's a later in the second round draft pick, so he's pretty high up there still. 55th overall is very good still. So he's got a lot of promise ahead of him. I would say, of course, one thing for sure would be size and weight. So remind me again, his size and weight?
He just recently measured in at 6'1", 175. So he's put on 10 pounds in the last few months.
Well, he's tall. That's a great thing too. So as long as he can fill out, and again, these are things that they are told when they get drafted.
You give them a few seasons, the kids get bulked
up. Well, you give them things to
do.
work on, and if he's 6'1", he's a good skater already. He can only improve on those things, so that's going to be super great.
Yeah, and the funny thing with him, too, is when he was announced as being a pick, I don't think there's many people who were watching him. A lot of times the later second to end of the draft, they're all players that, you're not spending all this time watching 300 different prospects and all they're capable of. But with him, he's kind of a surprising one and kind of a fun one to look forward to, being that he is a domestic skater. He is from the U.S., a Texas native, which is really cool. But with all that, I just want to throw that in there, but
just for fun,
just for funsies. But one of the areas of development that I personally noticed when I was watching his footage is that he does need to expand a little bit on what I've called his comfort zone. Like Janae had mentioned, he's that slot area or from the hash marks of the face-off circles and kind of forward. That's his office. That's his niche. That's what he's comfortable with, which is a great area to be really confident in. But it would be nice to kind of see him over the next couple of years kind of push out a little bit and broaden that to be able to make plays in a more, I guess, a broader area and just kind of make that happen. Just expand his mentality a little bit in that way.
Right. And then Eisman did say he's more of a passer than a shooter. From the footage that we saw it was kind of 50-50, but his points were also kind of split right down the center. So like assists and goals, it was kind of 50-50 between those and the 49 points of last season. So to have him be more of a shooter would be great, just because if he does have that net front and that like hash mark face-off area comfort zone that he's got working right now, to keep shooting the puck and to capitalize on those rebounds is kind of where I see his...
If you can get that close, why not?
Yeah, where I see his game kind of being... expressed, I think, is what I would like to say. So I think that if he can become more of a shooter, I think that's just going to capitalize on those opportunities. So that will be great. We do think he's got several years before we'll see him maybe in Grand Rapids, I would say. Maybe like 3 or 4. Yeah. And that's normal for a drafted player that's not in the first round. The first rounders are kind of expected to be either
a little more accelerated.
AHL right away or NHL right away if you're the first 5 or so, unless you're the Red Wings, and then you start them in the AHL. Well, I think we like to be thorough, and I think that we like to make sure that the guys can handle it. And of course, this is a different season. This is a weird season, so we're trying to get as much of our guys playing as possible.
And it is worth mentioning too, right now he is not committed to college. It's not to say he won't. Obviously, like Janae said, it's kind of an odd season, so I think the commitments are going to be a little up and down too.
Depending on where they can play. They're going to go where they can play.
Exactly. And I think if he does take that collegiate route, if he commits to a university, I think it would be the full 4 years, which allows Detroit time. And Yzerman is not going to just push on these kids more than they can do. And not every player that's drafted gets signed. So this is a great opportunity for him, and he's already shown that in his ability to gain weight too. It's going to be up to them to really push it. One thing we did want to ask, as we're kind of rolling this up, the OHL just released their protocol for starting the season and have removed body checking. We want to know what you think about that. I'm on the verge of laughing. It's not even we just don't even know what to think about it. What do you think that's going to do to even the players' development physically at that level?
I would like to know what the players are thinking. I'd like to know what the coaching staff is thinking. Personally, I think it's an important part of hockey to have the physical play. Yes. And if you take out the physical play, it's not like I don't know what's there, because there's a ton there, and I love hockey even if it's not like a super physical game. But how are you going to build up
that strength if you can't even
But if you're going to get a penalty for trying to get a puck away from a guy by body checking him to get the puck away from the guy...
You might as well just be playing badminton.
Like, are you supposed to be like, hey, can I have the puck, please?
I don't know. Teach manners. I think John Scott said it was sissifying. So let us know if you think that we are sissifying the OHL.
Tell us what you think about that rule, and if you think it's going to go through, or if you think it was kind of like a power move on the way of the OHL to be like, initially, hey, we're going to remove this, and then once they get a lot of backlash, they're going to be like, just kidding. We were just joking.
Torch the whole system.
Right, once they want to just not do it, because I don't know. I think it would take a lot out of the game. Not a lot, but it would take something. There's a piece. Physicality is a big piece of the game.
It's part of the game, but I think it would hurt the player development too.
It could, very well. Because then when they go from the OHL, and not a lot of them spend a ton of time there, but when they go from the OHL to AHL or NHL,
where they're snot beat out of them.
Yeah, I was gonna say where they're getting hit. Right. And I don't know. It's kind of like the slashing rule.
Yeah, the touch the stick thing, or
where it's up to the referee whether or not it's slashing if they like touch the stick.
There's or a new face-off violation one too is up to the. It's just it's silly.
Sometimes when they add these rules, I'm like, where's the game though?
Let's ask our friends.
Anyway, so tell us what you think about that and what you think about Cross Hanas, if you've seen him at all, and if you've seen him play with Portland, that would be great. We love hearing the first-hand accounts of people who have watched these guys play. We'd love to see all these guys play all the time. We just can't get everywhere. It'd be great though.
Right now.
Yeah. So let us know in the comments what you think, and we appreciate you again so much for watching. And please subscribe if you haven't yet, and like this video if you liked it. If you didn't like it, then just don't like it. Yeah, that's fine.
That wasn't very nice.
That's fine. You don't like it. You just like it anyway. Let us know in the comments what you think, and we will see you guys next time.